Alright, so I didn't want to have to make this video, but after what happened on stream, there's really no avoiding it at this point. So I've had the PlayStation 5 since Friday, and I'm going to go over blow by blow what has happened with my experience with this console leading up to now, leading up to what happened live on stream, and leading up to a tweet in a clip that was made from the live stream that has been getting a ton of retweets over the course of tonight. And yeah, Sony screwed up big. They screwed up big on this. So for all the stuff that went down with the PlayStation 5, I have never seen a more catastrophic launch than what I've been seeing with the PlayStation 5. Now, I have the download screen put up right here just in case something happens while I'm talking again. So, like I said, I have had the PlayStation 5 since Friday. It showed up at my door at around 11:30 in the morning. From 11:30 in the morning until 10 at night was spent setting up the console and putting a grand total of 6 games on said console. Only 6. Only 6 games took up well over half of the hard drive. That was already getting on my nerves to begin with. Now, I had already heard a couple issues that the console itself was having, and then I saw a lot of these issues myself. Apparently using the Ethernet cable for a wired connection for the console could result in a system corruption and bricking the system. Using the 2 USB ports in the back could result in system corruption and bricking the system. So my 2 terabyte external hard drive with all of my PlayStation 4 data on it can currently not be used on this console, because what will happen is I will plug this in. It will ask you like data storage options, and you can only use this for PS4 games, by the way. You cannot put anything PS5 on an external hard drive at the moment. With PlayStation 4, that doesn't really bother me all that much, because obviously that's what I was doing to begin with. But you plug this into the back. I tried plugging it into the front at first, and the console said, no deal, you gotta plug it into the back. So I plugged it into the back. It recognized this for 10 minutes, and then it completely turned off my system. It asked me to repair the hard drive, which is not uncommon. I've had to do that a bunch of times before on the PlayStation 4, but it got stuck in a repair mode. So what would normally take maybe like a minute tops to do on the PlayStation 4 was indefinitely stuck in a loop on PlayStation 5, and all it was doing was asking me to select where I wanted to download PlayStation 4 stuff to, onto the console itself or on to the hard drive. That's all I did with it. So, right out the gate, 3 things, 3 ports in the back of the console cannot be used, because you may permanently damage your system if you do so. You can't use the USB port in the front for a hard drive, so that's another problem. Moving on to game installation, I tried to install Spider-Man Miles Morales, physical hard copy of the disc. It would get to about 46% done, and then it would crash, and I'd get an installation error. I would take it out, clean the disc off, even though the disc was completely pristine, and try again. It would no longer install. I would get another installation error. This would happen 3 different times until I found apparently the only solution that seems to be working, to factory reset the console. So I hadn't done anything major to the console yet, so I said, okay, fine. I factory reset. I went through the initial setup, started trying to install Spider-Man Miles Morales again. Met with the same result. 46% installation error. It would stop installing. And I would do this tug of war for another hour. So I took a break from Miles Morales and tried to download something else. I tried to install Godfall. That honestly went through without a single problem. Now I was like, okay, let me try something else. I installed Demon Souls. Went through without a problem. Okay. Let me download something digitally. So I downloaded Spider-Man PS5 Remastered. I was met with the most abysmal download times I've ever seen in my life. And this is also another reason why I currently have this on screen. As you can see, the download rate is only happening at maybe 10 megabytes per minute. Per second, excuse me. It's very late. I'm very tired. They constantly boasted having faster download speeds on these new consoles, and this is downloading slower than the PS4 did, and that is absolutely ridiculous. And I by no means have a bad internet connection. My upload speed is not super amazing, but with the fact that I'm dealing with Comcast, it's better than most, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, I have like 800 down and like 70 up. Like, I have the best internet package Comcast can offer before I have to move over to like business class internet. But anyway, around 52 gigabytes of data for Spider-Man Remastered took about 3 hours, and that's about as ridiculous as it gets as far as like download speeds go. So I start going through like, okay, what is absolutely essential? I'm only going to put on the PS5 what I need at the moment. So I put my PS5 games on there, which is about 4 if you're counting Spider-Man Remastered. Getting back to Miles Morales, I finally said, screw it. Refunded the disc at my local GameStop and bought the game digitally, and got greeted with the same thing with Spider-Man Remastered. It would just take forever to download, and it was a smaller file than what Spider-Man Remastered was. Miles Morales was only like 38.9 gigs. Spider-Man Remastered was like 52 something. And Miles Morales took longer to download than Spider-Man Remastered did. So we move on to the PS4 games. I put Ghosts of Tsushima, Avengers, and Mortal Kombat 11 on the PS5, since I can't use the hard drive. And here's where things literally drove me up a wall. Ghost of Tsushima install errored on the disc twice. Mortal Kombat 11 installed errored on the disc 3 times, 2 of which happened live on stream. And then, like a temperamental child, just randomly started to work. But then 7 pieces of DLC wouldn't install. And then that would finally install, and then 2 fighters were missing, RoboCop and Sindel, that I had to go back into the in-game store and download manually. It was a shit show. Avengers went through with no problem, and then Ghost of Tsushima installed, errored twice. Going into the games themselves, Mortal Kombat seemed fine. They said for the most part everything was going to transfer over, except like story progress, but I didn't really care about that. However, my progress on Ghost of Tsushima, my progress on Avengers, was basically destroyed. So before I initially set up the PlayStation 5, I backed up all important game save files over onto the cloud for sync storage and everything. it didn't sync the right files, or it didn't keep up with the auto sync that I had set on the PlayStation 4. All of my progress for Ghost of Tsushima was gone, and I was like halfway through New Game Plus. The majority of my progress on Avengers was gone. I had all 6 characters at level 50. I had 3 of them at max power. None of my characters were at max power. The missions that I had completed, which included the Mega Hive, had not been finished, and Black Widow and Miss Marvel were no longer at level 50. So I lost about a month and a half of progress. And then same with Ghost of Tsushima, I lost about a month and a half of progress. And this sent me over the moon. I was so angry. To the point that I'm almost afraid to look at any of the other games I have, because who knows what kind of progress I'm going to be missing this time around. So I wanted to put this out there because I have tried calling customer service for Sony. They are not accepting calls. I tried to live chat with somebody. Nobody could give me an answer for what I was dealing with. I checked Reddit. I checked Google. I checked various Discord channels. I'm not the only one having this problem, especially with the disk installation problems. There have been reports of this happening with Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, Ghost of Tsushima, NBA 2K, Rainbow Six Siege, and also Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, this is a very damning problem that the PlayStation 5 is having, that, like, there's no reason in hell, if you physically have that disc, should not be able to install and play the game without a hitch. The fact that I cannot use the USB ports in the back that you said were safe to use without it potentially bricking my system over a hard drive I've had for 2 years now is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that I cannot have a hardwired connection without running the risk of bricking my system is absolutely ridiculous. So, per the advice of my organization manager, I made this video explaining what I went through for the past now 4 days with the PlayStation 5. If you were upset or you were angry that you were not able to get this console on launch, believe me when I tell you, you dodged a huge bullet here. Wait. Spring, summer, wait until next year to get a PlayStation 5, because while I will thankfully say I have never had much issue with launch consoles, and this is also including like the Xbox One, which was also an avalanche of bullshit on launch. I never had a single problem with my console. This was the first time ever I have had problems with a console at launch. And then not only that, having problems that no one else seems to be having, with the exception of a couple, just dumbfounds me. Now, one last thing to touch on. This isn't so much a glaring issue, it's just a personal pet peeve of mine. Now, I understand next-gen consoles are supposed to be focusing on, like, 3D audio, HD audio, all this different type of stuff, along with, like, ray tracing, 4K, 8K, 120 frames, 60 frames, what have you. It's very, very annoying that I have to go in and change sound settings per game just to make the sound come in right. And the fact that I can't use some universal setting, because like the PlayStation 5 has that. You can set universal settings for like game preferences, but as far as like how the game's going to look, how the game's going to sound, you cannot set universal preferences for that, for game audio and stuff. I shouldn't have to sit there and troubleshoot each game for 10 minutes just to make the sound come out right. So, I'm making this video as a cry for help from Sony, hoping that somebody at Sony sees this. And then on top of that, I am making this video as a warning. If you have a PlayStation 5, please watch this, listen to what I said, and hopefully you don't run into any of the same issues. If you didn't get a PlayStation 5, please watch this video and take this as a warning to maybe not getting this thing right away, because I'll tell you right now, and this is with me physically staring at the console, not 3 feet from me. If I had the option right now to get my PS4 Pro back and all of my data and all $530 of my money back, I would take my money back in a heartbeat. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry for the somber video, but this needed to be said. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.